What if complaining is actually rewiring your brain for suffering? Ancient texts from 3 continents, buried in scripture for thousands of years, encode a single psychological law: silence about your pain is the master key to mental freedom. Science just caught up. The ancients already knew. Let's start with the neuroscience. Every time you complain, you're not just venting, you're actually cementing neural pathways. Your brain remembers the complaint. It strengthens the story. And with each retelling, that story becomes your identity. Psychologist Guy Winch calls this the complaint loop. And it's addictive. The more you do it, the more your brain seeks reasons to complain. The Hebrew scriptures understood this 15 centuries before fMRI machines. In the Mishnah, the written law compiled around 200 CE, there's a specific teaching about lamentation. It says excessive complaint about suffering actually deepens the suffering. It's not denial. It's something more radical, a recognition that the mind's habitual commentary on pain is what extends the pain. Move east to the Buddhist canon. The Four Noble Truths contain something most people miss. Yes, Buddhism says suffering exists. But the second truth isn't just about desire causing suffering, it's about how constant mental complaint about that desire extends it indefinitely. Right speech, one of the Eightfold Paths, explicitly teaches silence about grievances as a practice of liberation. Islamic tradition carries the same thread. In Hadith literature, the Prophet Muhammad is recorded as teaching that one should not obsessively voice complaints, even to God. Instead, the practice is dua, direct supplication without the complaint narrative. You request change. You don't rehearse the problem. The difference is subtle but neurologically massive. So why did these traditions converge on the same insight? Because they understood something about the human psyche that modern psychology is only now measuring. Complaining is a form of mental self-harm disguised as processing. When you complain, your amygdala, your threat detection system, fires up. Stress hormones flood your body. And your brain literally believes the threat is still happening. This is the silent commandment. Not spoken. Not enforced by punishment. But embedded in the law itself. The message: if you want mental mastery, you must break the complaint cycle. That doesn't mean denial. It means choosing your words strategically. It means turning a complaint into a problem-solving statement. Instead of "this is terrible," you say, "what do I control here?" The ancients knew the destination. Neuroscience is now mapping the path. Here's what makes this radical: the ancients weren't teaching positivity. They weren't denying real suffering. They were teaching something harder: cognitive autonomy. The recognition that your mind will generate complaint narratives automatically. And your job is not to suppress them, but to refuse to amplify them through speech. Silence becomes an active choice, not passive acceptance. Modern psychology has a name for this: expressive suppression versus cognitive reappraisal. When you complain, you're using emotional venting, which neurologically reinforces the emotion. When you stay silent and reframe internally, you're using cognitive reappraisal, which actually weakens the emotion's hold on your brain. The ancients called it wisdom. We call it evidence-based mental hygiene. But here's the trap. Modern culture has inverted this. We're told to process everything verbally. To express ourselves constantly. To build entire identities around our struggles and complaints. We've turned suffering into a currency of authenticity. And we've forgotten what the ancients knew, that there's a difference between acknowledging pain and performing it. Between feeling and feeding. The practice is simple but not easy. The next time you feel a complaint rising, in conversation, in your head, online, pause. Ask yourself, does speaking this amplify the problem or solve it? The ancients had a word for this. They called it wisdom. Try it for 7 days. Watch your mood. Watch your relationships. Watch what happens when you starve the complaint mechanism of oxygen. The silence itself becomes the teacher. This is the silent commandment. Not written in stone. Not commanded from above. But encoded in the oldest texts of our civilization, a psychological law that predates modern psychology by millennia. The choice to silence complaint is the choice to master your mind. And the ancients built it into law because they understood, this choice determines everything else.